Hey there, have you got maybe a royalty program, rewards program, or maybe you want to track the tally or balances of activities that are happening in and amongst your leads and your customers? Well, you're in the right place because Keap has recently released a brand new feature that I know a number of our clients were using third-party tools that are now inbuilt in your app. So let's get stuck in and let me show you. Hey there, it's Mandy Brusser from Streamline for Success. And as always, I'm excited about an update from Keap. And this specifically relates to Keap Pro users, Keap Max users, as well as Keap Max Classic, formerly Infusionsoft users. So you definitely want to check this out. Now, as mentioned, a number of our clients would previously use third party tools to be able to add values or do calculations within Keap. Now, there may still be some valid reasons why you need some of those tools for some more advanced calculations that you need to do. However, now, if you use a whole number field within your application, you can add, subtract, divide, or multiply on that field, which allows you so much possibility here to be able to automate some of those calculations within Campaign Builder or advanced automation, depending on what app you're using. So I've got a couple of examples that I want to share with you today. And I want to highlight as well with this video, I've got some more examples of how we're using this with clients. So you can definitely check that out as well. But really the main functionality here, as much as there's 4 calculations you can use, is adding and subtracting. I must say I haven't had any clients that need to multiply or divide, but it's not to say that that's not the case for you in your business and what you need the automation to do. So let me give you some examples of where this comes into play and how you can take advantage of this. Plus, at the end, I'm going to give you a special bonus and what we do in addition to these calculations to help you understand a little bit more about this data. So stay tuned for that. So let's look at the first one. A number of our clients do want to track the loyalty of their customers. How often are they buying, or how many purchases have they made? And this allows our customers to go and target those people that are spending or buying more frequently, and perhaps you can do different offers to them, give them different rewards, to give them credits, and so on and so forth. So really the opportunities here are endless, and I want you to hear from the possibilities in your business and what might be applicable for you, whether it's purchase loyalty, it could be retention loyalty, it could be so many other things as well. So let's look at this first scenario up the top here. So we've got this purchase goal. Now, you may not be using Keap e-commerce, and that's okay, but use the principles here. They are still applicable no matter how you're using it to trigger this particular campaign. But in this case, we are using a purchase goal. So when somebody comes through and purchases any product, which we can go in here, purchases any product, any payment type, we don't care. What we want to do is have a custom field on their record to give us an idea about how many times have they purchased with us. Now, you could probably argue, can't we get this data from e-commerce reports? Well, you can, but you would have to run an e-commerce report. You'd have to tally it up to understand, and it's a little bit of extra work. Plus, it's not readily available, that data, within other areas of the platform for reporting and setting up automation. So to be able to set this on the contact record is very beneficial. So what's going to happen here on the back of somebody achieving this purchase goal is they come in here and we set a total purchase field, and we custom field, I guess, and then we add to it. So I've got one I've prepared earlier, but let me show you how to do it again. So what you want to do is click and drag that over. Let me just copy this here. Let me just set this up completely from scratch for you. So we want to copy and drag that over, the set field value, double click into that element. And now select an option. You've got the option here to scroll down and select Use Math. So what you want to do, of course, you need to set up the custom field first, but we have one that we prepared earlier, is called Total Purchases. Now we have a maths option, so we want to add, and we want to add the quantity of 1. Now, some of you are using a loyalty system or reward system that you may have credits that they are eligible for and get added to their balance every time that they do a particular activity. So that doesn't have to be 1, right? You could have that to be 5, 10, whatever you wanted there. And always best practice to name the element. So total purchases plus 1. So what that's going to do is it's going to look at the current value that's in that field and then add 1 to it. So if this is the first time that somebody has purchased from you, it's obviously going to be a 0. We add 1, that's 1. Let's just say in 2 weeks' time they purchase again. Fabulous news. So we get another 1 added to it, so that's 2. So it's going to constantly get updated all the time so that when you go to a contact record, you'll be able to see the actual number of purchases that they've had. Now, be careful, or something to consider when you do this is there's a moment in time that you get this live. So you need to make a decision. Do you go back and try and collect the data and do a bulk update of the historical stuff up until that point? Or do you take just a snapshot in time and go, we are live from this date, moving forward, we care about this data. So if you're going to go with the latter approach, then I would recommend that you make a note of the date in which this has started. So I would put a note in here, started adding on day, month, year. I would definitely make a note of that so you're aware in case there's discrepancies that come up, particularly if you're giving rewards and people aren't clear, your customers and your clients aren't clear about what those rules are. Hey, we're not retrospectively dating back past purchases. So just something to keep in mind. So that is the first scenario. So that scenario is really about any type of purchase and tracking the total number of purchases that have been processed for a client or a customer for you, and you're adding 1 to it constantly, all the time, constantly. So the second scenario that I want to talk to you about is we work with a lot of coaches and education providers who may sell a program. Let's just say it's a 12-month program, and included in that program, you get 4 sessions with a coach over that period of time. So again, this one is driven off a purchase goal, but just apply these principles as you see fit. Just another example to let you know what's possible. So we might have a purchase of a VIP program, and then we're going to use sort of 2 functions here because we know that somebody who buys this program, we have 4 sessions that get included for them from the get-go, right? And then what we want to do throughout the year is that we want to reduce that balance. And it's the same if you think about a credit or reward system as well. You need some way to tell the system they have redeemed the credit or the reward, and so we take the balance off as well. So I'm going to cover those 2 scenarios here. So the first one is we want to set the session balance. So if I go in here, again, I will remove what I did before. Now this is using still the set field value. So somebody's just purchased our VIP, and if we go, you could argue, we're making the assumption here that this is a new program, no one has purchased this before, or maybe you reset this every time that they go ahead and buy. So just something to keep in mind. Just think about, has somebody already bought this? Are we adding to it, or are we just fully replacing it? So that's something to consider. So yeah, we want to override in this case, and we want to override the session balance, and we want to set that to be 4, right? Because they've purchased this program, they get 4 sessions included, and as always, we want to help ourselves out and call it set session balance equals 4. So we've set that, and of course that's not using the month functionality, that's using the set field value in there, and that's okay. We're overriding that, which is fine. Now we need a way in which to tell the system, hey, they've used a credit, or they've used a balance, or they've taken advantage of a reward, depending on what's applicable for your business. So it could be a variety of different things. We were setting this up for a client the other day, and they want an internal form. They want to manually be able to acknowledge that they have used a session. Some of you are using appointment scheduling tools. We do, and a number of our clients do. So we know when they actually book a call, but we may not necessarily know when they actually attend the call. So be very clear on what that distinction is and how you can trigger it accurately to ensure that the balance is up to date. So it could be a tag-based goal, an internal form. It could be a web form completed. It could be a variety of different goals. So just get clear about what that goal will be specifically for your business. And then what you want to do is set up a sequence to follow that. And I will also add in a new one. And let's just say they've used one of their sessions. So we want to use the maths field functionality to update the field session balance. We want to subtract, and we want to subtract by 1 because they've used one field. So reduce session balance by 1. And that's done. So be really clear on what will that trigger be to actually reduce the balance, reduce the credit, reduce the tally, whatever you want to track here, so that can automatically happen on the back end for you. So that was scenario number 2. So setting up a balance and then the reduction of that balance as well. The third one is very similar to the first one. It's a webinar attendance. Now, we have a lot of clients who run ongoing programs, and they have, in some cases, weekly webinars. And to help them understand the retention of their members, it's important for them to track, well, are they actually showing up for webinars? And you could have a tag-based goal in this instance. Well, I've got that as an example, but there could be a variety of different goals here for you to trigger them and add them to this particular automation. So just keep that in mind. And as always, as soon as they attend, we want to go ahead, set a field value, use the maths. We want to look at the total webinar attendance. We want to add to that. And we also want to put the quantity as 1. So webinar, I forgot what the field was called. Total webinar attended plus 1, and done. So as promised earlier in this piece, I wanted to share some bonus tips with you around this functionality, use maths, because it's very, very powerful. However, if you go to a contact record, you are only going to see the balance. You are not going to see when did that field get updated, what was the history of the field getting updated. You don't have any extra information from an audit point of view because it could have been updated 12 months ago or it could have been updated 2 weeks ago. So what we love to do here is also set up 2 other elements in conjunction with all of these types of functions to help us get that visibility that we're looking for. So I'm going to use the example. I'm going to go back to the VIP program here. Now, it doesn't really matter. It's not only applicable for this. You can apply these principles for everything. What we like to do is add a note to the record. Set session balance equals 4. Now, I'm just going to put a note on their record just so that there is an update. You can call it whatever action you'd like to. It's an update for us, so that's the one that we use. And the title, just be really specific. Set session balance equals 4. Now you can add in more details here and put in, let me move that over here, put in first name, last name, purchased the VIP program, and has been included with 4 sessions throughout the year. And let's go ahead and mark that as ready. Now, that's great, very helpful. We have a note on their record. Fortunately, well, there's 2 things. Notes are really helpful because it's going to appear historically on the contact record, and I'll show you that in a second. But we also have the situation that it's not easy for us to report on and get accurate information quickly on, okay, when did that field actually get set and updated last? So one other functionality that we like to take advantage of is our set field value. So what we can do here is we've got a specific field set up and we're going to override it. And it is called Session Balance Last Updated Date. And what this allows us to do is when somebody comes into this particular sequence, we're setting the balance to be 4, we're making a note of what's happened, and we're also going to update what was the last time we made an update to this particular value of this field. And I'm going to just select the option, use the date when the contact reaches this point in the sequence. So it will automatically just pick today's date, set, and at least you can see what's going on here. So let's set last updated date today. Of course, today. So that's done. Now let's just say we also want to go ahead and when we reduce the balance by 1, we also want to know, well, add a note on their record. And then in addition to that, we also want to capture the date as well. So I'll show you what this looks like in just a second. You may think it's overkill, and that's okay. And you could put in a description there. I'm not going to at this point. And then we want to do another set field value. Whoops, not use maths. I'm excited about that one. We want to override, and I want to pick the session balance last updated, and I want to use today's date. Set session balance last updated equals today. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this specific campaign. And I can't see that because I'm in the way. Okay, great. So I'm going to go and find a dummy contact. Might help if I can type. Okay, so we have a dummy contact here. Now, what I want to do is, I'm not going to achieve that purchase goal. I'm just going to manually add myself to that sequence just to show you what it looks like in action. So I'm going to go ahead under campaigns and go add to sequence. And I'm going to go in and use blog math. And I'm going to set the session balance equals 4. Now, before I do this, actually, let me just edit these fields so I can show you that there's no data in there at the moment for either of those fields. Okay, cool. So there's nothing there. That's no big surprise. So let me go back here. Use math. Okay, great. So I'm now in that particular sequence. So if I refresh in the campaign, I can see that. That was super quick. I'm done already. I'm going to refresh that. So I can see, yep. So my session balance now for this contact is set as 4. And the session balance last updated date is set to be today's date that I've recorded this video. If I also have a look at notes, I can also see here that I've got a description here of that I've purchased the VIP program and included with 4 sessions throughout the year. Okay, great. So now I want to manually kick off that we're reducing the balance by 1. So I'm going to add to the campaign, and I'm going to less 1. So I'm going to refresh this. And of course, this is going to be triggered by whatever automation goals that you've got set up before this, as well as the one we did before. But I just wanted to at least show you what this is going to look like in action. Okay, so we can see I've just refreshed the record and the session balance is now 3. It automatically happened for me. Yes, the date's the same because I'm doing this on the same date. That's okay. And if I look at notes, you can also see that I've reduced the session balance by 1. So I've got a breakdown here of the activity going on in the notes area, but I also have a really quick reference here of, okay, the session balance and when did that last get updated? Because sometimes you may have a heap of other notes. You can see we've been doing some other testing that it can get easily lost with everything else going on. So that can be incredibly handy. And also, if you want to go and do some saved searches on understanding, okay, so who's still got balances left, or who's used all of their sessions, and then when did they last get that data updated. I hope that's been helpful because I see so much power here available with the Use Math functionality. And hopefully those extra bonus tips will help you understand how to capture some extra information that can really help you in a few weeks' time, or maybe a few months' time, or even years' time, to understand when are those values getting updated with those notes and the last updated field as well. So look, it's been Mandy Brasser here from Streamline for Success. Please feel free to check out the rest of this article with some other examples below this video of how you can apply this functionality in your business, and feel free to share with others, and I look forward to sharing more Keap tips with you shortly. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you soon.